It was with immense gratitude I learnt that Contact was being selected as your charity to support. Although a daunting experience, it's an absolute privilege to stand here today. Before I share with you what Contact does, I firstly want to spend some time telling you about the woman who founded it, Bridget Murphy. She was born of working-class Irish parents in Manchester in 1925. She went on and she trained as a teacher, and then she entered religious life in a religious order. She left some time after and worked in the old approved school system during the early 1950s and 60s. It was whilst she was working in this system that Bridget Murphy identified the need which was to impact so significantly on her life and the lives of so many young women to come in the years ahead. Quite often, when these young women had finished their sentences, as they were called in those days, many became homeless, found themselves in mental hospitals, living in squalid conditions, and at times become entangled in the dark and abusive world of prostitution. During her off-duty periods, Bridget found herself visiting these youngsters. Bridget was becoming increasingly troubled at what she was witnessing and increasingly restless with the lack of provision for these youngsters and the indifference that was shown to them by the state. Her vision was to establish, very simply, a home for these young women. Bridget started to sow the seeds. She changed jobs. She became a deputy head of a primary school in Manchester. The desire and mission intensified. She went hunting for a suitable property, one that would make a nice, secure home. She used her savings and begged. She was also successful in gaining a small Home Office grant and to purchase a house in Whalley Range. Together with 2 volunteers in 1970, Contact opened. It was to become Bridget's home too. Life in those early days for the youngsters that lived in that house was around feeling safe and secure, learning to cook and to sew, with an emphasis on education and employment. However, learning to trust was what underpinned time at Contact. In the late 1970s, Contact moved to its current site, and Bridget moved out to her own home, still the driving force behind its existence and success, even though she was living with the ever-presence of side effects of a brain tumour. As a person, she was understated and unassuming, was driven by a deep conviction which was underpinned by a strong private spirituality. Bridget was still very much actively involved with Contact right up until her death at the age of 80 in 2005. She never craved power and authority, always avoided attention and the limelight. Her boardroom was her kitchen, and her desktop was her kitchen table. She could never be accused of being a systems manager and wasn't a great record keeper. What she did have and have in abundance was the vision to see a need, the courage to overcome her fear, and was brave enough to take the risk, together with a genuine commitment to the well-being of young women. To date, her beloved Contact has accommodated at least 558 young women. It is this commitment to young women that Contact is entrusted with today. Contact currently provides support and accommodation to 8 young women between the ages of 16 and 19. There is room for 7 young people in the main house, with an additional space in the move-on bungalow, which is located on the same site. The young women come from a range of backgrounds, which include relationship breakdown with parents and carers, fleeing domestic violence, oppressive family regimes, forced marriages, physical and emotional abuse. They all carry the scars of rejection. Significantly, an increasing number of youngsters accommodated have been burdened with the responsibility of being the adult in the family when both parents are dysfunctional and or inadequate, often raising siblings and being denied the innocence and joy of a childhood. Over 90% of the youngsters accommodated have been raised in poverty and in areas of high social deprivation and unemployment. Contact attempts to reverse the impact of these disadvantaged childhoods by providing each young person with a safe and secure living environment which they are able to search and begin to find out who they are and start dealing with past events, are given the opportunity to express emotions and a range of behaviours associated with teenage years. It attempts to create an attitude of hope and self-belief which has been snuffed out or worsely never realised in their early years. The charity encourages youngsters to have a life plan, with the emphasis on education, training and employment. Contact also offers financial support. Whilst the emphasis is on the future, the girls often start to fill in the gaps of their early childhoods. This is done by having days out, marking birthdays and other celebrations, the very things that we take for granted. We hope to provide these children with some good memories of what may have been a traumatic and chaotic childhood. Contact realises the difficulties encountered by young people when it comes to living independently. It's made even more difficult when there is an absence of appropriate parents. It invests a significant amount of resources when the time comes for a young person to move on. The charity provides a comprehensive and support package which includes decorating and making flats secure, getting furniture and soft furnishings, making sure the basics of electricity and gas are connected, and we provide that very, very vital ongoing support. It turns a very cold, unfriendly building into a warm and welcoming little home, and the tenancy appears to be sustained. The charity today is funded by the local authority and, like other organisations, has had to address savings due to cuts in budgets. In 2011, Contact Hostel received £86,000 a year from Manchester City Council. In April 2015, it receives 43. For us, this reduction can be offset by the actions of our loyal benefactors. Contact continued existence and credible reputation is the greatest tribute that we can be afforded to Bridget Murphy. Our challenge today is to have the vision to identify and respond to the ever-changing and complex needs of the young people entrusted to our care, and to have the courage to safeguard and maintain the values that were put into place some 45 years ago. Thank you for listening to me.